Welcome to Conscious Coupling, where Frederick Gobeil and Christy Whitman share their experiences of creating a conscious, connected relationship. Every week, they give practical tools, steps, and processes to help you find the loving connection with your partner. Let's get into today's conversation with Frederick and Christy.
Hello, welcome back to the Conscious Connected Coupling Podcast. I'm Christy Whitman.
And I'm Frederick Gobeil. Welcome to our studios. Can you feel the magic of the waves pounding right behind us? Isn't it cool? I just love that background.
If they're listening on the podcast, they can't see that.
No, but for those of you who are watching on video.
Imagine the waves crashing up against the shore. So
actually, we should get some sound for them.
Hey, Rob,
put some
All
sound.
Right. So we are talking today about 3 blocks to love in your relationship. And these are doozers. They really are. Doozers. These are ones that we really want to take a look at and really make sure that on a daily basis that you are checking in with yourself, because these are really the things that will prevent your love from really flowing into your relationship. So the first one is really relating to your partner, relating to one another from your wounds and from those kind of limited parts of yourself, those bounded parts of yourself, from the places where you feel you're not enough, from the places that you're just holding on to hurts and resentments. So I'll give you an example. We were driving in the car one day, and Frederick and I were talking about how our new From Drama to Love program is now available for clients, and I'm super excited about it. And we were talking about the marketing of getting our stuff out there, and he mentioned the word funnel. In an internet marketing world, there's a whole what's your funnel kind of thing, and that bugs me because I'm just like, it's not a funnel, it's a client experience. How does someone get introduced to us or to my work, for example, if it's not us doing couple stuff? How do they not only get introduced to my work, but then what is the next step that they take if they feel that they want to work with me? So it's a client experience. How do they progress through deepening with my work, with my coaching, that sort of thing? So we were talking in the car, and I go, funnel. I said, I prefer to call it a client experience. Well, he came to me and he said, I feel like you're criticizing what I'm saying. I feel like you're trying to correct me. And I was telling him, I'm like, thank you for telling me how you feel. However, I didn't say, you shouldn't use the word funnel. I literally just said, I prefer to say client experience. It makes it more just flowing for me. It makes it more of like a service-based thing than a how do we bring people through different, like the internet world type of thing. And so I said to him, I go, so what would you have preferred I say? Because I feel like I wasn't coming from a critical place, or I wasn't trying to change you. And then he admitted that with his mom.
So hold on, let me take it from there.
Yes, go for it.
So for me, it was her saying, well, I don't really like funnel. I prefer the client experience. And
the way he says it, the client experience.
So I like that. But in the moment, it was more of it felt for me as it was a cutoff. It felt like I was being told to not say a word, and it pushed a button in me. It all of a sudden, it was like, I got reminded of when I was younger, and my mother would finish my sentences, or I would say something, I would communicate something in a certain, in my French language, and then my mother would say, no, you mean to say this. So, wait a minute, I'm trying to communicate what I feel and what I'm trying to say here is coming from me, but you're taking and changing it into your own words. And so that's something that I lived with, and it didn't feel good. And so I carried that, and it has become part of my growth to do as becoming a man. And I had mentioned that to her, and I said, you know what? This reminds me of what my mother used to tell me when I would talk. She would completely stop the conversation, interrupt, and say, no, you mean this. You mean this word, or you mean that sentence. And so there was no space for me saying what I wanted to say. And
So-
that's what I felt
Yeah.
in that moment I felt like there was a charge of emotion coming up, right? I felt like, what's going on there? This is, why are you interrupting me? Why are you saying another word?
See where his child goes into the defense of you, right? Why are you doing this to me? And so when we talked about it very calmly, I said, "Hun, in my mind, I'm not criticizing you at all. If you want to say the word funnel, I'm not telling you to stop. I'm just letting you know I prefer, client experience." And so that kind of diffused it because he understood that I wasn't doing that. But that emotional reaction in him
Was still there for me.
Was still there for him, but that's his to work on. But can you see, he's a conscious man. He was aware of it in that moment. What if he wasn't aware of it, or kind of was aware of it and came back to me and just said, "Don't criticize me."
Right,
or
don't stop me like that,
or
right?
stop talking to me like that, right? Then I would be put it back and go, "What are you talking about?" Right? I'm just sharing. I really like to call it a client experience. I'm not telling you what you should or you shouldn't be saying. It might have caused an argument or some kind of disconnect. It is a block to flowing love. But because we were having this very conscious conversation, he was able to share with me what was coming up for him, obviously knowing, he's like, "Yeah, this is an issue for me. I got to look at this. I got to do my own releasing on this." He owned it, didn't project it onto me, and then we were able to instantaneously come back to that connection of love.
Knowing that I don't need to come from my 10-year-old who's being talked to like that, being told what to say. And now I'm the adult that's running the show. And so I'm responsible for that 10-year-old to let him know, "Oh, it's okay, I got you. I'll take it from here." And I'll let her know that this doesn't feel good in a calm way, in an adult way, so that she can hear me and she can understand what I'm going through. And that's what I did. I think it was the next day, right? The next day? I told you, or was it a little bit
I think
after?
it was later that afternoon.
Maybe later, yeah, in the night. So I explained to her, this is that's the emotion that I got. That's the charge that I got when we had that conversation. And it reminded me of my past conversation with my mother.
Yeah, so when a charge happens like that, our tendency is to close down our heart, right? Our tendency is to kind of self-protect. And, we don't want to then open up our hearts to our partner because we think, because it seems like, right? It seems like I'm the one that caused the charge in him, even though it wasn't. The charge in him was a charge in him. I didn't even say it in a way that his mom used to say it to him. I was just saying, again, I really prefer client experience instead of the word funnel. I didn't say, Frederick, what you mean to say is, I didn't do any of that. But the charge in him was the charge in him. That's inside of him. It looks like, because I said something, that then I caused it, but I didn't. Right? And so that's important for both couples, both people in a couple, to understand that if you have this whoosh of emotions that's coming up, that's triggering a whole old hurt or an old resentment or anger or any of those things, that it's up to you to release that and to let yourself come back to your partner in an open-hearted way. So that's number one. Did you want to say something more about that?
Well, in response to what you're saying, guess what? You're in a relationship with your partner to work on the relationship with yourself.
Always. That's why we're in a relationship. That's the spiritual, truly the spirit. Every single religion at some point, every esoteric writing out there, every mystery school has said that the reason we are here as spiritual beings is to return back to the divine inside of ourselves and embody that divine, and then shine that light onto everybody that we know and on the planet. That's really what it's about. And so a relationship is a perfect way to return back to that divine self inside and to return back to that light. And sometimes it sucks because it's like we bump up against each other and it looks like, well, if he would just do this, then I'll be happy. If he would make me feel special, then I would. If she wouldn't criticize me, then I'd feel okay about myself. right? And so these are places that we can even just show gratitude and appreciation for our partners, because if we do have contrast popping up, or we do have hurts and resentments and whooshes of emotions that we didn't know were there, it's like, thank you, I didn't realize that was inside of me, and now it's mine to release.
Right. So all the more reasons to really work on doing the couples work, right? And it will affect your own work, your own growth. And so, yes, if there are any types of questions or issues that are arising, we gladly you're welcome to let us know, and you can reach us on the website connectedcoupling.com and just fill out the form, and we'll gladly reach out to you for a session with us.
Or even better, we're doing a couples retreat in Carefree, Arizona. How would you love to just feel carefree with your partner? It's going to be the last weekend in February 2020. So we're looking forward. It's a very small, intimate group of couples. You get alone time with Frederick and I. We do a lot of different healings of resentments, things like that. We're actually this time for this particular retreat, we're working with the women. I'm working with the women as goddess work. He's working with the men as warrior work, coming back together. So it's going to be a lot of interpersonal alone work, plus with your couple. So if you're interested in learning more about that, you can go to christywhitman.com/couples. And that is another thing that we're offering right now. So back to number two.
Number two.
Because these are important, and we will be going through these and the how to release them at the retreat. So the second one is closing down your heart. Now, this is a big one, because there are moments in our relationships where it causes us to close down our heart, and we really are the person that chooses, are we going to keep our heart open and loving towards our partner, or are we going to close down our heart? And people do human things, right? We sometimes do things, don't do things, say things, don't say things, and it's not, again, about the other person. Maybe we're just unconscious in what we're saying, or we're off that day, and we have to just be aware of that. But where we have choice is whether we open our heart or close our heart. So I want to tell a story, and this is what I do, obviously, with the Council of Light when we do our couples work, when I bring in the messengers of light, called the Quantum Council of Light, and in our couples therapy and in our couples retreat. But we were at a Pat Benatar concert, and we had front row, and I've seen Pat Benatar a couple of times. She was actually my first concert I ever gone to. Neil Giraldo, her husband and guitar player, is like my favorite guitar player of all time, and he's very creative. He's written a lot of her music and a lot of her, obviously, top hits and things like that. He's just a very creative human being, and I love that about people when they're in their genius and very creative. So we're driving to the Pat Benatar concert with our boys. So we're front row, got the boys with us, Frederick and I. We're driving there, and I stated that I wanted to get Neil Giraldo's guitar pick, right? And because we had been at other shows and gotten like Joan Jett and Styx and Tesla and different members of those bands. And so I had this nice little collection happening, but I really wanted to get Neil Giraldo's. So we're in the front row, and Neil Giraldo himself is literally doing a guitar break, looking right down at me, and I'm like in just complete heaven, because my favorite, my songs, right? He then takes the guitar pick in that moment and tosses it at me, and I'm like reaching for it. There was a barrier between us and then the stage, and so that's where cameramen could go. It fell short, and it went down where I'm not allowed to go, right? So Neil saw this, or Spider, if you want to call him, that's what his nickname is. Spider saw this, and so he went to go toss me another guitar pick. And I'm about to go reach for it, and all I know is I get socked in the eye. My husband,
slow-mo.
trying to rescue me, trying to be the hero to get this guitar pick for me, hits me with the back of his hand in my eye, right? And so I'm like, now I'm seeing the birds and the stars, and I'm halfway. I've got one eye open, the other one, is not. And I opened my eye after all the chaos and commotion, because he started throwing a bunch of guitar picks after that. He let it rain. And I looked down, and my son Alex has a guitar pick. Now, I love Alex with all my heart, but I know Alex. And that one for him is like, he's like, mine. He's not
mine. Mine.
Mine. He has not given that guitar pick away. If it was Maxim would be like, here you go, mommy. Because they knew that would mean a lot to me, right? So Alex has got his guitar pick. Frederick gets a guitar pick, and there's a group of women who we do not know next to us, and they're like, give her the guitar pick. So with my one good eye, with this one closed, I'm watching this guitar pick being brought across my face as he hands it over this complete stranger, and I'm like, no!
Because I'm thinking, Alex just got a guitar pick. He's got ours, right? This is our guitar pick. So I'm saying we don't need another one.
No.
Now, how many friggin' guitar picks do we need?
No, that was his. I wanted mine. I wonder where he gets it.
I'm like, I got a big heart. Let's give this guitar pick to these ladies right here on the side. They don't have any.
So I'm sitting there at a Pat Benatar concert, first row. I've got Spider who just threw me 2 guitar picks. The guitar pick that was supposed to be mine was given to somebody else by my husband who just punched me in the eye. And I'm like, I don't know. I said to him, I turned to him, I go, I don't know if I'm more mad at you for punching me in the eye or giving away that guitar pick.
And all this while there's music. Pat Benatar is still singing on stage, and she's still singing her song, and she's like,
She's
I
singing
got a black
Heartbreaker.
eye.
So I start singing Heartbreaker to my husband because he just broke my heart. No. So I am literally like, in this moment, I'm mad. I'm really, really, really mad.
Oh yeah, she was pissed off at me.
And so I'm like, I had a moment of like, okay, I could either close my heart down and do a total cut off from him right now, because that's what I feel like doing, is I'm pissed. And my eye was like pulsating, it's tearing. It was bad. And I've never been hit in the eye before. It was smart. So I even told him, I'm like, I'm probably gonna have a black eye tomorrow. What did I know? I've never been hit in the eye. So anyways,
no drama.
I did drama. I had that moment of just, I have a choice. Because I'm here having a great time with my family. This incident happened. Can I just feel the pulsation of the energy, of the anger, just let it go? Well, I happened to be at a rock concert. The bass was going, the guitar was going. Her music is very like, rah, anyway. So I just got into my belly and just felt the anger and felt the pulsation of it. I really stayed present in the midst of all that was going on. It takes about 90 seconds to process an emotion. I allowed myself to process it. I brought in light. I allowed myself to bring in love. I made the decision to keep my heart open to my husband.
And she screamed to Pat Benatar. Real loud.
No, I did not. So that was a little 3-minute moment that, with all that drama, it made a great story. However, I had a choice in that matter. Am I going to keep my heart open, or am I going to close down my heart? Because that is the second obstacle to love, is how many times he didn't mean to hit me in the eye. I was calling him Ike Turner after that, and later stopped because he then hurt me the other night with
Something
a dog.
else happened.
Something else happened. I'm like, I'm not going to call him Ike Turner anymore because he's going to hurt me again. So all that to say, we have a choice in every moment, no matter what the theatrics of our lives are, no matter what he says or what he doesn't say, what he does or what he doesn't do. It's our choice. It was my choice in that moment to either close down my heart and continue to try to have a good time feeling that anger, try to feel joy when you're feeling anger, it doesn't work, or return back to my joy and be in the front row with my kids. And I did, and then after it was amazing because Hit Me With Your Best Shot came on. It was too bad it wasn't the song that was out, because he did hit me with his best shot. But we were able to, videotape Alex and I singing that song, because that's one of the songs that he knows, and we had a really fantastic, great time. And P.S., by the way, I got a guitar pick at the end of the night. So did Maxim.
Right. We all got a guitar pick.
Everybody was good. But the point is that I opened my heart back.
And here's my perspective on that. When all that happened, for me, I'm not understanding what's going on, right? I felt like, yes, I bumped her with my open hand, trying to reach out. There's another meaning to that. Afterwards, might want to explain in another episode. But for me, it was the reaction of what had happened after I did that. And so I felt like it was an overreacted, over-dramatized, and the worst thing that I could have done would have been to tell her, hun, take it easy. Or,
yeah.
hey, why are you
I would have hit him with my best shot.
why are you acting up like this? We're at a concert. What's going on?
Yes, good point.
Relax. Everything's okay.
Relax.
Enjoy the show. And it's like, I had to come from my heart as well, knowing that I just probably hurt her. And even though I don't feel it, right? She's the one that's feeling it.
It didn't hurt my hand at all.
I can be sensitive to it and say coming to her and say tell her, wrap her around with my arms, even though she didn't really want to have my arms around her. I said, "Are you okay, baby? I'm sorry for, hurting you, punching you, whatever."
Knocking you out. Mom said knocking you out.
So and that kind of diffused it a little bit, right? Because we both came from our hearts, and we're there to enjoy it together, and not there to create any type of tension or a conflict on the way back home in the car, wanting to beat each other up.
Well, we don't beat each other up, but thank you for sharing that perspective, because you did, and you were, stroking my back, and are you okay? And, that helped me kind of, okay, stay in your heart, open your heart. So, and thank you for not telling me to relax or get over myself or any of that stuff, because that would have added fuel to the fire.
That came up, and that's the thing, right? That's when it comes up, roll your tongue a couple times. Because that's our reaction. It's like, come on, let's you know what, we're here. Let's enjoy the show.
Right.
Stop doing this. Come on, let's enjoy it with me.
And to that point, so we let it go for the night. But the next morning, I came to him. My eye was like really hurting him the next morning too. I was like, I can't open my eye. And I came to him and I said, I'm just curious. What was that about? You reached out to kind of be my hero, to grab the pick, and then you gave it away. It's kind of inconsistent. So we had a discussion around that. And then I kind of left with, I just have a question about what was that about? And then he went in within himself to figure out what was that about, and later communicated it with me. So we got a lot of information out of that scenario for both of us that really kind of helped him learn more about him, me learn more about me, and us learn about each other, which was great. So,
Number three.
The next one is really, that is one of the biggest blocks to love, is that if you would just change, I could be happy. So if you expect your partner to do something or be something so that you can feel a certain way, that is a huge block to love. What I mean by that is, if you would just take me out for a nice romantic dinner and create this beautiful night, and so that I can feel loved and I can feel special, and you could put out the request and ask, I'd love for you to take me on a nice date night, and if the date night doesn't curl your toes like you're expecting it to, then you're feeling like he's less than. And if he would just change, if he would just show me that he loves me or that I'm special, then I could, that all is coming from within. And so if you're feeling like you need your partner to make you feel special, you are looking at the wrong source. He will never be able to source you the way you need to be sourced. You need to come from a place of feeling like you're special, like you're loved, like you matter, like you're important. And when you give that to yourself, when you connect with your divine self and be given that energetic feeling and that filling up, if you will, from that perspective, then you're not looking to your partner to source you in ways. Whether it's, if you would just be more romantic, or if you would just be more conscious, or if you would be more understanding, or if you be more whatever. If you would just do this thing, then I would find peace within myself, or I'd find freedom, or I'd find happiness. Whenever we are putting out and assigning our stuff that we're in need of or wanting to our partner, we will continue to feel the sense of lack, because our partner, no matter how much they give, even if they try to show up, they'll never be enough. Exactly. They will never meet the expectations. So that is something that is a huge block to love, because if you're blocked in love, you need to go where the source of your love is, and that's up and that's in.
And then what happens when you're able to look within, you're coming from your I.
Yes.
When you're talking about something, an issue that you that you feel and you want to communicate it, you're not basically saying, well, when you're like this, or when you don't do this, or when you put blame on your spouse, right? Then all of a sudden you'll have a defensive return, right? A defensive action coming back to you. So come from the I and say what you prefer, or say what I feel like when I'm out of town for 5 days, I am looking for a connection with you of some sort. So coming from the I, then your partner can really hear and understand what's going on.
Absolutely. So for more information and to wrap up today's episode, go to connectedcoupling.com, or you can go to christywhitman.com/couples. And next week's episode, we're going to talk about how to fall back in love with your partner if you feel you've fallen out. So thank you so much for listening and being here, and hopefully we have entertained you today. Thanks. Have a great week, everyone.
See you next week.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Conscious Coupling with Frederick Gobeil and Christy Whitman. If you like our show and want to know more, check out ChristyWhitman.com. And please leave us a review on iTunes. Learn how to turn your partner into your soulmate. Join us again next week for another powerful episode.